Hello and welcome to Genre Chat. This week, our special guest will help us write about our legacy. Her name is Gael Gilliland. And Gael, tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here on Genre Chat. So a little bit about me. I am a ghostwriter by trade, and I actually have a degree in construction management. I know, right? That's a story all on its own. That's a whole other interview. But I love telling stories, and I love helping other people tell their stories. So that's really that's what my entire life is.
Now, what have you written in the past? Tell us a little bit about your writing experience. Did you walk out of the womb like most writers with the pen in your hand? I didn't, but did you?
Actually, kind of, yeah. So I haven't in a very long time, but I loved writing poetry growing up, and it actually wasn't half bad. So I have one poem that's printed and published, which is really cool. I have that book upstairs. And that was sort of that began my love affair of trying to get published any way I could. And then I went to high school. I got published in elementary school, went to high school, and was told that my writing wasn't any good. So then I spent the next 10 years convincing myself otherwise. And I've been a paid writer for 10 years, and that's included, I think I'm up to 7 books now.
Wow.
Those were mostly written in the last 4 years, all ghostwritten, and a ridiculous number of articles and blog posts. And so I like writing behind the scenes, and I love helping people take what they want to say and make it better, and I'm really good at it. So yeah, that's my writing experience. And I didn't go to school for it. I don't have an MFA. I don't have any of those things. I just I am an avid reader, and when I want to learn something, I spend more time researching it and learning it, and just kind of find the information on my own.
That's wonderful. So most people that I interview, they say the best way to become a good writer is to be a good reader. And if you want to be a great writer, be a great reader. Everyone from Jerry B. Jenkins, best-selling author, down to people who we wouldn't even know their names. They're avid readers. And you can tell that because they're such good writers. So now, the reason why I wanted to interview you is because you're helping writers write their legacy. And it's it's a wonderful way to, I think, kind of write your own history to leave it for your family and other people. But can you tell us a little bit about that? I know you have a slogan and everything, and I love it. Tell us about Legacy. This is a business that you do, correct?
Yes.
So tell us about it. Tell us the slogan, and then tell us if I wanted to do my legacy, how I would go about it step by step, and how does that happen? What would that require of me, and what does it require of you?
So Legacy Reporter is capturing the story of a lifetime, one page at a time. And I took it all the way back to the writing basics that we all learned, or hopefully learned, in like first grade. So I using the 5 W's: who, what, why, when, and where, and then about 4 to 5 deeper questions in regards to what was going on, and how you were feeling, how everyone else was feeling, and then how you feel about the moment now. And the whole idea is centered around taking a specific photo, memory, or recipe and writing about that. Because what I have found with in my work through clients over the past 10 years, 12 years, is that people do better when they have something specific to write about. If you say, oh, well, I want to write my life story, and it's like, oh, well, where do I start? And my response is always, well, first it's where would you like to start? And then usually they don't know what they want. They just have this urge to do it. And whether they've ever written anything or not, it's something that we all have this, most of us, I believe, have this feeling that we need to leave something. Right. And I think one of the easiest things to leave is your thoughts. And what people struggle with is how to organize them, what they look like, do they matter? Is anyone care? Does anyone even really want to hear what I have to say? So along with the actual mechanics and technical stuff of actually writing your stuff, for me, the legacy recorder is reminding people that it's important, reminding them that someone cares, even if that person doesn't tell them they care all the time.
Right.
And that it's worth telling, and that regardless of what you've experienced in life, how old you are, what you're actually able to remember, whatever's going on right now is important to write about, because it gives us an opportunity to process what's happening in the world, what's happening to us personally, what's happening to our family members. And I just really think writing is one of those cathartic things that everyone has the ability to do, but they've been stomped on so hard that they've decided that they can't write or shouldn't write. And because they can't, be flowery and, write literary fiction and like write a classic, that they don't have any worth at all, which is really sad.
Yeah, it is. So tell us how Legacy Recorder works. Well, tell us how you came up with the idea, and then tell us how it works, because I think it's remarkable.
So it's kind of a long story, but the short version is that for me it's grief-centered, and really inspired by my grandparents having dementia and Alzheimer's, and my father dying when I was a teenager, having children when I was really young. So I had all of these life experiences happen really quickly in a very short amount of time, with no way to process any of it at all. And
that's a lot. I'm sorry about your father. That's hard as a teenager.
Yeah, I think I was 17. His anniversary actually is next week.
Oh. But writing it was a form of healing, correct?
Right. So Legacy Recorder has really been my grieving process. So he died, 12 years ago. Next Wednesday, or it would have been next Friday, I think. And I don't think I really started a real grieving process until maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I started Legacy.
Wow.
So this, it's definitely been an interesting ride. Lots of tears. So that
well worth it. Well worth the healing.
So specifically how I came up with this particular way of doing things is I live in a small town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and our demographic is largely seniors. And about 4 years ago, I was looking around going, there are a lot of old people here, and there aren't enough young families to support, there was a juxtaposition, they're living in these senior care facilities here, but their families are out of state or somewhere else. And they were dying alone, which is just really sad.
That is very sad.
And they're not all dying alone. I mean, it's not quite that bad, but it was enough that I initially was like, I wanted to go in and just write letters for people. I had this ability. I was really good at writing, and I was really good at interviewing. And I could get people to talk about things that they wouldn't normally talk about. And I felt like that was something that I could do as a service to the community. And I'm not from here. I'm from Phoenix. So everyone looks at me sideways because I'm not from here. So why would I care?
Right.
But I think it's all important. So anyway, so that was the beginning of it. And at the time I had a number of volunteer positions, and someone said, do you really need another volunteer position? Do you want to figure out how to make this something that could be a business someday?
Mm.
And I was like, yeah, that'd be great.
Yes.
I'd love to do that.
Yes.
So,
my kids got to eat.
right? My kids got to eat. So her name was Lori Webb, and she actually, I spent a year and a half working with her, really digging into Legacy and building a scalable business model, and something that I could, on the, turn of a dime, be able to create something new for someone else. So Legacy is could be working with the individual, working with a facility, and training volunteers to have them go in and work with residents one-on-one to help them tell their stories, which for me is my dream application, because I can impact so many people that way without physically having to be there.
You could take one facility and work a whole year in one facility or more.
So we're actually in our third semester right now. I have an ongoing project in a local care facility here. Mm-hmm. And I have university students that go in just about every Saturday for about 6 to 8 weeks and help. I think we have 12 residents this semester. So it's grown each semester. So that's really exciting. I love it.
It must be an impact on the university students too, because, the millennium, we kind of don't have a lot. We say that they're lazy and things like that. Not all of them are, but there's always been a me outlook on life with the younger crowd. So when they go into, and I'm not saying everybody, but this must really open their eyes.
Well, and it's the people that come into this particular program, they already have to have a predisposition to want to serve others.
Right.
So the students that are coming in are really not like that at all. At least I haven't met any quite like that.
That's awesome. That's good to hear.
It's really awesome. And they are some of the transformations have been that they are viewing their grandparents differently. Mm. They're calling them more. They're carving out time to be with them because they've, heard firsthand from a person who, maybe their kids didn't carve out the time or their grandkids didn't carve out the time. Mm. And they're really building these really incredible lasting relationships that it's the end of the semester is always really hard.
Mm-hmm. And our grandparents, which I'm old enough to be a grandparent now, I hope my son doesn't have any kids for a while, but he's old enough to be my grandson, but have a wealth of information, and they lived through some of the time periods that people are writing about now. So why not get firsthand accounts? And you learn so much. So what you're doing with Legacy is just so wonderful. And what else is going on with Legacy?
So those are two different ways that you can work with Legacy. And something that's really near and dear to my heart is what writing your story looks like at 3 to 6. So that preschool age, that really young preschool age group going into kindergarten. I know, it's so much fun. And that this whole idea of how our kids are processing their emotions and processing their environment, and the fact that a lot of times they are trying to tell us stuff. They just don't know how. They don't have the words. They don't have the vocabulary. And what does journaling look like at this age? And how can we encourage them to be not only lifelong readers, but lifelong writers, even if it doesn't become a chosen profession? Because the ability to articulate yourself on paper, for me, transferred into the ability to articulate myself in person. And I think public speaking has a huge basis in being able to articulate yourself in writing.
And to get kids at a young age to be able to do that, mm-hmm. is powerful. When they get older, as they grow and they learn communication skills that most of us didn't start learn. I didn't start learning them until probably 10 years ago.
And the other thing
still learning
is the handwriting. So
yes.
I know people my age, and I'm in the millennial crowd. So I know people my age that didn't become writers or felt like they couldn't write because their handwriting wasn't perfect enough. Or they were told they couldn't write because no one could read their handwriting. So instead of encouraging that child to find another way to express themselves, either in written or drawing something out, or saying, well, you don't know how to talk to people.
Or typing.
You know, there's all these different ways we can express ourselves. And those, you know, it's very, to me, it's very sad. So it's like, I have this opportunity now to catch these people and say, hey, I know your story. I love your story. Can we write your story?
Mm.
And
so now I've experienced it a little bit, but say like I want to write my legacy. And I come to you and I say, Gail, I want to start keeping my accounts of my life now. The past stuff I wrote about in blogs and stuff like that, but I want to do it day to day or weekly or monthly or whatever. What would you tell me? And do you have a program that I can use? How does this work?
So I have really low impact programs, and they're the very, what is it? I have varying levels of freeness and not so freeness. So there's actually a legacy bot, which is really exciting. You can go to my website, and in the bottom right corner, there'll be the little Facebook Messenger bot thing. And it will actually, if you sign up for that, you click in and it'll say hi, and I talk to you, and it walks you through a 6 to 7 day sequence of writing your story a little bit each day at a time. So that's one way to do it. It's really depending on, I've created something for everyone. Mm-hmm. In that there's a video tutorial option. So if you do better by watching me talk to you and do a training that way, complete with worksheets and a story by numbers, which I'm really excited. So I wrote a fill in the blank.
That's me.
I wrote a fill in the blank that you can just fill in about whatever photo, memory, or recipe that you want to write about. And it's really, giving you enough structure to write the thing without telling you that it has to be a certain way, unless you want that.
What is your website?
The website is, you have to put the legacyrecorder.com. If you type in legacy recorder in Google, it should come up. And I usually come up on Google too. I'm on Legacy is on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something. But
that's good though. Yeah, LinkedIn.
and LinkedIn, I don't think I necessarily have a legacy recorder page on LinkedIn, but I'm on LinkedIn. So Legacy, I tried to make it as accessible as possible and affordable without hiring me as, your one-on-one ghostwriter, which you can totally do. That's an option as well.
And would that option be at thelegacyrecorder.com?
Yes.
Okay. So now I go to thelegacyrecorder.com and I choose to do the Facebook.
The Messenger?
Thing. Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
How does that work? And you said you had different degrees of
freeness.
Can you explain those?
So the Legacy bot's totally free. It basically walks you through, it's the same thing as, what is it? Or a more condensed version of the email sequence. So if you sign up for the newsletter or you sign up, I tell you what you're going to sign up for and what you get. But on the website, you can also sign up for an email sequence if you'd rather not have your messenger pop up every day. So the Legacy bot works in such a way that I've laid out the 5 W's and then those 4 to 5 slightly deeper questions. Mm-hmm. And every day I ask you if it's okay if we talk about this, and it's totally optional. No one's judging you. No one else will ever read it.
Now, are you actually there, or is this automated?
It is, the Legacy bot itself is automated, but I check everything every day. So, it's set up so that you can actually type in, if you type help or Legacy Lady or something else.
Legacy Lady?
Yeah,
I need
Legacy
help.
I need help.
Where are you?
It'll ping me and I will get a notification. It'll pop on my phone and I'll come hang out with you unless it's the middle of the night. I reserve the right to not be awake at 2 a.m.
I don't blame you.
But if it's during the day, I will respond.
So each day there's a question
Mhm.
or something that comes up in Facebook and you can answer it.
Yep.
So what happens after the time period? Say I do it for a month. What happens after that? You have all that data? I mean,
Yeah.
what happens?
So I have all the data. You have all the data too because it's in your messenger. So the sequence is only 5 days. So it's like 5 to 6 days. I have to look it up. But after the 5 to 6 days, you have the option. You can do it again. Or the bot sends you to, where does it go? There's a book that I self-published. It's available in print and as an ebook on Amazon. And that is more of a hard copy, in-depth version of the Legacy bot. And so that's an option. You can buy the book and try and go it on your own again. There's also a link to the e-course, which is an hour and a half worth of videos broken up about 2 to 3 minutes per video.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the next option? The other thing I have set up is daily or weekly journaling prompts with the Legacy questions. So that's something that is more of a subscription-based thing. And that's something where you could, if you want to do that, you sign up. It's all on the website. And then at the end of each month, I send you a PDF download of everything that you've written all month. So that part's kind of cool. It's kind of like having a, someday it will be an app. That's my goal. Like
apps are expensive to make.
They are. So
they are so expensive.
Come sign up and help me build my app.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like, I think in this day and age, people have a hard time sitting down and actually writing with paper and pen. And they think they'll keep like maybe a digital diary. And this way you get specific targeted questions. So whether you're trying to write, it could actually help you write a specific book, depending on how you use it. So I have different series of questions that could be used. So it could be a business book. It could be your memoir, helping someone else tell their life story. If you're going to visit your grandmother and you want to be able to have something to talk about every week, I can send you that.
If someone wants to get the Legacy program like into their school or into like a senior center, do they contact you? Do they email you? Do they go to the legacyrecorder.com?
Any of the above. If you find me on Twitter, you can message me on Twitter. If you find me on Facebook, go on Facebook and do it. I'm watching all of it. So it's really any mode of social networking that you like to use.
So for a writer, besides like keeping a log, give us some more reasons why writers should be doing this.
Okay. So myself included, we get mired in this idea that where you can only be one thing, or because we only write one thing, we're only allowed to write that thing, whatever it is. And I think when it comes to ourselves, it's the rule book just goes out the window. And we're not, nothing that I encourage anyone to write. I don't encourage anyone to write anything from a commercial value. It's all introspective and self-reliant. So as far as that goes, as a writer, we forget to ask ourselves the same questions that we ask our clients, that we ask our characters. And we spend so much time looking at how they're feeling about everything in order to shape the story that we forget that we have feelings too.
Right.
And so for me, I think Legacy Recorder reminds writers that they're human. They're not just machines. churning out book after book after book, which is really sometimes the only way people feel like they can make money is if they, they just have to keep writing, and if they get that book, it'll work. So, and sometimes we lose, and I lost it too, lost the writing for fun and just writing for us, and just being able to enjoy the moment where we write something down and it brings that flood of creativity that we've been looking for 6 months.
Now, you said you have downloads and things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have other tools for people who go to your website?
Yes. So the downloads and things, those are the Legacy, I'm going to say course specific. So those are geared towards individuals. And then Pinterest, I have really cool, I think they're really cool, Pinterest boards. So I consider Pinterest to be a tool because it has a width and breadth of writing things that people don't even know are on there. And then book layout ideas. So Legacy Recorder, I am not a publisher, but I have a publishing arm. So I'm not going to say that I have this big team behind me, because it's really just me. But when it came to having to put a publisher on my book, I didn't have, it's Legacy. So Legacy published the book. So any book that I put out for a resident or an individual has Legacy on it. But none of those have ISBN numbers. Just like, I really don't do the commercial thing. It's for the specific.
It's personal use.
Yeah, it's personal use only. And that's a different project if you want to use it commercially. So where was I going with this? Oh boy.
Other things other
things
tools on your website.
Everything's pretty much there, unless you want to come hang out with me. I have most of it's up there. The blog has I used to do a tweet chat every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. So it was the legacy questions over the course of about 30 minutes. And instead of me interviewing someone else, it was me throwing out the questions to the Twitterverse and people writing in their stories on Twitter using hashtag legacy chat. So you can still go search the hashtag legacy chat. And there were some really cool stories that came out of that. But all of that stuff's posted on the blog. So I have everything out there. Like, I just wanted Legacy to be accessible. So the whole thing is out in the world. And if you have the drive to just go do it by yourself, have at it. And if you want to share it with somebody else, please do. It's, I just wanted it to be out there more than trying to make money off of it. So.
Yeah, it is an important tool. So people can tell us how people can get in contact with you again.
So the website is thelegacyrecorder.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, pretty much anywhere else. I think there's a YouTube channel too.
And it's called
It's called The Legacy Recorder.
Okay.
And the book's available on Amazon. If you order it from me, or if you order the print version, you might get a signed copy.
Yay!
And I tried to make the book affordable. So the ebook's only $2.99, I think, and
that's good.
The book itself is $12.95.
And the book just explains how you can record your legacy.
Right.
Correct?
So the book explains how you record your legacy, why I'm doing it, what I hope you'll get from it, and then the link for the downloads.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I think it's about 60 pages.
Do you have any parting words for people who still seem a little leery or hesitant to write about their legacy or what's going on in their life right now?
Just that it doesn't have to be perfect. There isn't going to be a good time. There isn't going to be a right time. You're never going to feel okay with it. If you haven't already been doing it, even if you have already been doing it, it's scary to say that I'm important enough to put my thoughts down on paper in a real format. And it doesn't have to look like anything. I get a lot of questions about, well, what does it look like? What's the end product going to look like? And my response, depending on who I'm talking to, sometimes it's snarky, and I say, well, does it matter? Like, can we just have the journey and just see what it looks like when we're done?
Yes.
And sometimes it's, here I have, I've done memory collections for people where they've already passed, and I'm really doing it for the family. And that book itself was beautiful. And then I've done smaller things or wasn't that small. The first Legacy recording was a local woman who I met through a Bible study, and her husband had passed away just a year before I moved here. And he was a prolific writer. He had composition books full of writing. And at some point, she moved his favorite chair, and there was another book underneath the chair, and there was one entry in the book, and it was about 2.5 pages long of single space type on a typewriter.
Wow.
And she just wanted to make it something that she could give to her grandchildren. The whole piece was about everything he learned in his life, everything he wanted his children and his grandchildren to know about living.
Wow.
And and his approach to life. And so I took that and made a poem out of it. And then she gave that out for Christmas, and it's all over the country now. It's in people's Bibles, it's hanging on people's walls. People she doesn't even know has it.
How beautiful.
And that story's in the book too. So I gave real life examples of here's what Legacy could look like. I don't know what yours will look like, but it's worth doing it regardless.
Amen. Thank you, Gail. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for Genre Chat. Join us next week. I'm Sherry Lynn Bisbano.